Usually every spring in May we get a bit of rain, and the rain kind of coincides with after the bluebells have bloomed, and you can see the bluebells down there, but it kind of coincides with the apple blossom. And this is an old tree and it has very few apple blossom on it, but usually most years the apple blossom comes out only a couple of days and it gets shredded by the rain. So last year we had a very dry year and the blossom was brilliant. It kept going and it didn't rot or rust. So here you can see blossom. It's already being affected by the rain, but it's beautiful, and each one of those will of course turn into an apple if it gets pollinated. And we can see there's some fresh ones here still to open, but we're having a lot of rain at the moment. So we can't really say something about spring without actually talking about apple blossom, because Ireland used to be absolutely covered in apple trees. Almost every household, any house that had a garden, even if it was very small, had usually an apple tree growing, even in pots. Now we're not quite like that anymore. We don't depend on it as much because of imports and globalization, but it is beautiful, these apple trees. And this is a very old apple tree. This was planted in the 1930s. I think it was planted in 1935 or shortly afterwards, so it's very gnarly looking if you look at it, but it's possibly a very old variety as well. And there are old varieties, and seed savers are trying to make sure they're not lost. This little red plant here too is an apple, and it has very unusual blossoms if you look. This is another apple tree and it's got way more blossom on it, but it's another one of these red ones, except it has a much nicer flowers. The flowers aren't real thin like those other ones, which are kind of almost stick like. And if you look here you can see, look at that, isn't that beautiful? It's blossom, but what is unusual is the blossom is almost the same colour as the leaves, so it doesn't stand out as much as the white blossom against the green. But there you go, you can see red apple blossom on a short apple tree. It's a little bit shorter than me. It's probably about 5'5", 5'4" maybe. But it'll be covered in apples, but I think it's cherry apples on this tree. So they're not very big, they don't weigh down the tree, but they're beautiful. Very much part of the Irish spring. And I am being rained on right now. In fact, I think it's time to run.